Word Balloon is brought to you by Awyad Comics, not only a great comic publisher featuring my buddies Art and Franco, but also 3 incredible stores in Harrison, New York, Skokie, Illinois, and Muncie, Indiana. Awyad Comics has been part of Word Balloon's life for about a decade now, and I am so pleased to be affiliated with them and give you all their details. You should go to awyadcomics.com. You'll find the 12 issues of Action Cat and Adventure Bug, but also you will find ways of shopping not only at the physical brick and mortar stores, but also check out their Facebook channel for on-sale online shopping and auctions that will feature some of your favorite books and great books from the Golden Age all the way up to the modern era. It's awyadcomics.com. I hope you'll check them out. They're an incredible store. They're an incredible publisher. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Awyad Trek Watch. John Suntress here, Franco here, Mitch here. Mitch, I apologize. I grabbed the closest video open, which only had the me and Franco picture.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Yeah, sorry about that.
See you later.
No, I don't blame him. But a good day to talk about Star Trek. Not only do we have a new Lower Decks to talk about, Episode 5, but also yesterday was Star Trek Day. So clearly there were a lot of announcements that were made and some trailers.
I thought it was Wednesday. Who knew?
And no, it's a good opportunity to talk about some Trek news. We now kind of have a good schedule in terms of what's coming up and when, in terms of the next, all the way through February at least. So that's kind of neat. And Langley is joining us. Good to see you, Langley. All right, Wayne gets the first dumb question of the night. Did you see the Picard trailer? Of course we did. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, we also they showed it on Star Trek Day, but also Wayne, I will ask you. I'm assuming you were able to watch that from Canada because they certainly promoted that Star Trek is being shown in Canada on the 2 platforms that do run it. But also, if there are international people watching, I would be curious if you're able to watch it. I was on Rob Burnett's YouTube show late last night, starting at 2 a.m. my time local until 4 a.m. And we were talking about Star Trek Day, and they had a guy from Ireland jump in the show as well. And he was able to see it. But, yeah, I don't know if everyone, if they made it available internationally or not. So, but anyway, first Lower Decks. Let's talk about Episode 5, the Doppler BS.
Doppler.
I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. I'm just like, all right, once again, they're 1-minute ideas that they're trying to, put into a full half hour. So, was not a fan.
Me neither. And I hated this one slightly less than the other ones, but I still hated it. There was a lot of hate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hate going on.
This one actually had a funny joke, and I wrote it down because I said I could use this every week when I watch the show. When the car was coming towards that groundskeeper.
The old man. I thought that was a funny line, too.
Yeah, he muttered, he goes, "This is how I die." And I thought that was, I just couldn't stop laughing.
But then the car missed him, and he goes,
and it missed him. He goes,
I'm still alive.
Yeah,
but he was upset that he was still alive. That was funny to me.
Yeah, you could use that joke anywhere, though. That's the great. It was great. It was on Star Trek. You could use it on any other set.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but
that whole thing of them driving out of control. I mean, and
the Blues Brothers.
That's exactly where I was going, Mitch.
But also, Johnny, it was an excuse.
Blues Brothers.
It was an excuse for them to yell a lot. Yell loudly. I thought of you during that scene. I'm like, Johnny's going to love this scene because all they're doing is yelling.
I said the same thing. I said somewhere Suntress is screaming at the TV right now.
I was already, and listen, I'm always happy when Richard Kind gets a job on a show. Mm-hmm. And he's the Doppler and everything because it gives me the opportunity to. I have to Doppel because I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to be so annoying for the next 23 minutes because all I'm going to keep saying is, "Oh, I'm embarrassed." So now there's more of me. It's poor man's Tribbles. Again, cute. Would have been a cute 30-second joke, not a cute 23-minute joke. And it was just. And again, I love Richard Kind, but oh no. Now I'm embarrassed even more. I am laughing at it, not with it.
And then not only did I think that it was a Tribbles ripoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm thinking, what's the stupidest way they can end this? And the way they end it is by getting him angry so he fuses back together.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is the line that this show is always straddling and always failing. Is it an adult show or is it a kid show?
Yeah.
And that right there proved my point, because they don't know what they're doing, which way they want to go.
Well, even all right, so Mariner and Boimler on their story, they find out they're going to a star base to drop off this ambassador that gets embarrassed and multiplies like a Tribble. And they find out that there's a big starbase party, and also in a good callback, I think, are like, wait a minute, Boimler's clone from the Titan was likely invited. And they're way on the other side of the sector to make it in time for the party. Let's pretend that you're Boimler clone, and you can get in on the party. And I was like, all right, that's fine, that's cool, and everything. But then the friction of the subtext of the characters, it wasn't subtext, it was right there in the dialogue, was, I'm still mad at you, you left me, no, you left me. And to your point, Franco, where it isn't, again, a very childish kind of fifth grade argument. And it's like, this isn't funny, it isn't interesting, whatever, regardless. And also, I wasn't crazy about Tendi and Rutherford putting the ship together.
Another point that drove me nuts with the marinara sauce storyline was when she's like, I can't believe you told embarrassing things about me. Like, she hasn't done that every single episode, and then she's upset about it.
Well,
and I'm like, oh, look, you're still a douche.
Yeah.
You're still,
thank you.
Yeah. You're still an idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I put here that bothered me wasn't Mariner right off the start? It said Starfleet command officers on the bridge complaining about their jobs is not Star Trek. That was the first thing that I caught when the show started. And she's like, ugh, we got to go pick up this thing now. I go, you never, ever, ever heard anybody from Star Trek complain about their job.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's kind of part of that revelation that I had in the last couple of weeks, where I'm like, you know why we don't like this?
Because it's not Starfleet.
Well, because the people we're supposed to think are nerds and not cool are Starfleet. And if you're a Star Trek fan, that's like your nerd, ridiculous fantasy of, oh my God, to be on that bridge, to be in Starfleet, to be in this experience. That's what made going to the Star Trek experience in Vegas always so exciting, and why I did it multiple times, and why, Francis, I always tell you that, oh man, when I visit you, let's go to Ticonderoga and see. And you went, right, Franco? Didn't you go?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, well, twice. There you go.
No.
I mean,
you're right. You're right.
You want to be in Starfleet. No. It's funnier to make fun of.
It's all those nerds that we saw on NASA growing up watching moon launches, the guys that are in Capcom that are there with the slide rules and the pencil protectors and all that stuff. They're the ultimate nerds, but they have the coolest goddamn job in the world because they're sending a guy up into space. And even if you're the janitor there at NASA, you're cool because you're going to fucking space, man. And here are people in space complaining about their job because they got to go meet a new alien race and like, oh, we got to go pick up this guy. I'm like,
but
what?
even bringing that a step further, nobody seems to like what they're doing.
That's what I mean.
And on the ship,
nobody.
I
see.
Nobody on the ship seems to like what they're doing, and they complain about everything all the time. Right? Yeah. It makes me not want to watch it. Yeah.
And the best thing is Mariner and Boimler, whatever, don't want to be there when they're meeting the guy that could duplicate himself. So they lie and sneak to get out of their job to go to a party. Again, none of this is making sense. It's like, this is the greatest job in the world. You're aboard a starship. Well, you should love it, but they hate their job.
Yeah, but I would kind of be bummed if I was there and all I'm doing is stacking boxes and stuff. But again, it's just that whole that, and also when Tendi and Rutherford are putting together the model ship. This is great because we could be together and we're friends, and it's like this is just such after school special drama and dialogue, and again, like we keep saying, this is supposed to be the adult humor show. I did like at the part, I did like that Okana was the DJ.
Yeah,
that's for people who may not remember, and I'm sure you do if you watch or listen to this show. William Campbell,
Billy Campbell. Yeah.
The outrageous Okana, one of the worst of the.
Really?
The episodes.
I always liked that. I always thought he was like Han Solo.
Yeah, well, I didn't mind Okana so much, but I believe that's the same episode where we get Data trying to figure out humor and.
With Joe Piscopo? Is
it that
Joe
Piscopo?
Yeah.
Computer, you want to try again and get me somebody that's a little funnier?
Yeah,
than, Joe Piscopo?
No, but they go, look, there's Okana. He's not even Starfleet. He goes, he's just the DJ. I thought that was kind of funny.
No, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a funny line, and I've seen him with the boombox, playing tunes. I thought that was fantastic. So,
what about all the Data bubble bath?
Oh, the bubble bath.
Yeah, and again, it's like the Tom Paris played and everything else. And especially coming off my conversation with Rob Burnett last night, I can't deny it's like, yeah, that's just low-hanging fruit and always just kind of easy dumb stuff that it would be nicer, and forgive me, everybody, because I laugh at some of these callbacks as well. It would be nicer if they were able to find humor in situations rather than just the member berries, because it really is almost like you kind of figure, all right, within 24 minutes, we got to do at least 10 little call-outs. In fact, Jesus, there was one of the guys standing when they were driving. Well, first of all, they go into the calamari giant squid thing, and there are a couple other aliens. Those are the aliens from, I believe, the Sarek.
Yeah.
Either that or it was the one where Troy's mom.
It was the Fleetwood Mac guy was on the episode. Remember that?
But I don't think that was the Sarek episode. I think it was the Troy's mom episode.
Yeah,
where she's basically like in heat and trying.
Oh, you mean when Sarek was crying? That episode? No, it wasn't that.
Yeah, but it was not that one.
No.
I'm explaining which one it is.
Yeah.
Which is the one with
No, I'm saying this show, for once, it actually had those little side jokes that they do on The Simpsons, and we talked about before in the background, that are kind of funny, like one-liners, because when they were crashing through the mall and they ran into the fish people, you hear the guy goes, look out for the fish people, and the guy goes, we're not people. And I'm like, that was kind of funny, because it's like, of course, you're just being a racist by thinking everyone are people, which are humans, but not a fish thing. But that was funny, but it was just thrown out there real fast, and like you missed it if you blinked. So
did you notice that when they're in the bar that they could get into and stuff, that okay, great, Kirk and Spock were there, but the little nod to the shippers out there that want there to be the gay relationship between.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
I just let Spock etched in the.
I saw that. Yeah.
And the only reason why there's a plus there means that they're in a relationship rather than just be Kirk, and then maybe Spock would do the same thing. Although I would love to be a fly on the wall with Kirk going, "Go ahead, Spock. Etch your."
Oh no, I didn't catch that at all. But now I can see that.
Well, that's why they said it was Jim Kirk's bar. No. Because the guys, like, hey, you're not the first people who could get into a party.
Yeah, no, but I didn't get the gay mention there. You just threw that out there. No. I didn't catch that at all. Whatever.
So, again, it's funny when I say I noticed a snarky person is like, I guess referring to us that we're a bunch of old guys that want more sex jokes. What a new take. No. Actually, when I say adult humor, I mean smart humor.
Yeah.
I don't know how to break it to you, man. I don't mind an effective.
I'm not thinking
I am based enough to not mind an effective sex joke. Haven't seen many of those on Lower Decks. Got to be honest with you.
Nope.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm chosen for that or craving that, so I don't know what that guy's talking about.
I'm not worried about it. I wanted to acknowledge it.
Lower Rex.
Maybe what we're saying when we say we thought this was the adult humor show to define what we mean by adult humor.
Yeah.
Adults like Only Murders in the Building. That's adult humor.
Yeah.
So it's
The Simpsons.
And again, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
But like
The Simpsons is adult.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right. There's jokes there my kids don't get, but I crack up about. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Anyway,
Black.
We've given Bryce enough time for his BS. Anyway, I'm trying to. I liked how on the bar there was a model of Zephyr Cochrane's warp ship.
Oh
I
yeah, I
like that.
saw that. Yeah, no, it was there. Yeah, I saw that there.
I didn't know if they would. Now you see, what I would have done to take it a step further, make it a beer tap.
Make it a beer tap. That's
You
what
know?
I thought it was. Yeah, that's what they
And
do. With
maybe
the
it
Star
was,
Wars.
but I didn't see
Yeah.
them pulling a drink from it.
No.
So-
The Star Wars bar, they have the IG-88 had the robot and that the actual taps when you go to Disney World. So I was thinking that was that thing too. But who knows?
Whatever. Again, I mean,
It was confirmed that Quark's his franchise at
Yeah.
this point.
And he also owns the model kits too. If you looked at the model kits,
I didn't
they were
notice
building-
that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
no, it said Quarks on the model kit. I'm like, this
That's
guy
very
owns
funny.
everything now. He's like Disney.
Yeah.
He's like Disney World.
Hey.
Oh, maybe
Hey.
that's the subtle. Because I'm like, why would he own toys too?
Maybe he made the Data bubble bath.
Maybe.
Stuff too.
But yeah, both model kits had the name Quark on them.
That's very funny. No,
Interesting.
I thought that was good. I liked at the party that they Commander Shelby was there, and she's a captain now.
She had her first
Now,
number one.
I couldn't think of who Anderson was. That captain. Maybe it was from those previous episodes,
Mhm.
like when the captain was trying to say, "Hey, don't you remember us from the
Mm,
Paklid conflict?"
yeah, they dropped that a couple times. Like we're the heroes of the Paklid War or whatever the battle. Everyone's like, yeah. So
So
the guy who gave him the guns in the bubble bath,
yeah.
which alien was he?
Oh, that blue stretched skin. I thought that was supposed to be the one from Insurrection.
Yeah, that's what I thought from
Yeah.
F. Murray Abraham.
Oh,
F. Murray Abrahams. Yeah, that's
Right.
why I was.
because I thought with the snout
I like to
nose
say
that they
F.
were.
Murray
I
Abraham.
thought they were Tellarites, but you're probably right.
Oh.
It probably wasn't. No, but I think you're right.
Maybe.
It might be Insurrection.
Yeah, but they weren't blue though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
So,
Yeah, but I thought it was from Insurrection as well. I thought it was.
oh,
that
Langley
one.
says the reason why Cork is monopolizing corporations and stuff. That's
Oh, your brother, yeah.
Venegas, absolutely.
Maybe.
I don't know,
Maybe.
brother. I don't think you should be selling Data Bubble Bath. Ram, you're an idiot.
And then they had those stupid cars that they used in Insurrection as well. Because I
Yes,
remember when that was like,
yeah.
why do they have wheels? They don't have wheels in space.
Right.
That was always the
Well,
thing that took
and-
me out of that movie. And then why does Patrick Stewart want to drive an RV or an ATV? Is that why they did that in that episode? Remember
Well,
they
and Stuart agrees with
jumps.
you that cars on the space station made absolutely no.
No, even in Star Wars when they did it in one of the prequels, it pissed me off because I'm like, you shouldn't see truck tires on this. Everything should be hoverboard stuff. It should always be floating. You don't need wheels. You don't need rubber
Not everybody
tires.
can afford hoverboard technology. Mitch.
There's no rubber trees. There's no Akron, Ohio in the Delta Quadrant or wherever the hell they are nowadays. So
They're not in the Delta Quadrant, but yeah,
no, Alpha Quadrant.
they're in the Alpha Quadrant, absolutely.
Let me just tell you, this episode, it was just another episode where I said I could be watching this and you could be hitting me over the head with a 2x4 and I have no reaction. Just like when I watch this, I'm just staring at it going, what time is it? Is it almost over? And you know what sucks? They have that countdown clock when they do commercials.
Yes.
On mine, it says like 38 seconds, 28 seconds. And when it says 86 seconds, it seems like an eternity. I'm like, oh my God, I got to wait that much longer to get
Oh,
to
yeah.
this great story. And then it comes back on. And then at the end of the episode, I was going to ask you, did it have a commercial? You know, it says jump into the next thing. Mine goes to Love Island. When this ends, it says up next, Love Island. I'm like, why is that connected to Star Trek?
That's interesting. Does anyone at your house watch?
No,
Love
nobody's. I'm the only one
That's a
watching
weird
the
little-
stupid
yeah.
CBS Prime thing. You know,
Weird algorithm. I don't know. Mine wanted to jump to episode 7 of Picard,
Oh,
which is the Riker Troy episode.
Hmm.
So yeah, I thought that was weird, and I don't know if maybe someone I share the account with was watching, Picard. I have no idea.
Love
Um, But yeah, so any other thoughts regarding this episode? I'm trying to think. I'm reckon again. We didn't talk much about Rutherford and Tendi. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that Rutherford is bothered by this reboot of his,
Mm,
cybernetics and everything.
yeah.
I just wish they'd come up with funnier and more clever things to be bummed about. And yeah, I mean, again, and also, yes, Wayne noticed, and I meant to mention this as well, that there was no cold. There was, or I'm assuming you're saying no, Wayne. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see a cold open. It went right to the credits.
Yeah.
Was there a cold open that you remember before the credits, Mitch?
Wasn't it them just sitting around talking about how they had to get the
Yeah.
guy? They were sitting at the ready room, and he's like, "Oh, he knocked the cup over."
No, that's the first scene. The bank,
Really?
the like meal scene with the ambassador.
Oh.
and
they were
that was
building.
the first
They were
scene.
building. They were building the model, wasn't it?
Nope, not on my show. I don't know.
Oh well, that is weird, huh? There's no bumper or whatever you call it. Cold open.
Maybe they're making the episode shorter.
No, it was 24 minutes. I counted.
Yeah, it was just like a few seconds under 24 minutes. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if that includes. No, and Langley confirms. Yeah, went right into the opening thing.
Wow.
I know. And again, not to be snarky, but it's like, wow, you guys ran out of cold open minute.
How hard could that be to write another bad joke? You know?
I don't know. Yeah, Wayne is confirming as well. In Canada, there was no cold open.
I noticed the cat doctor has like a chunk of her ear missing tonight. That's how bored I was. I was like, oh, look at that. Why is that? I don't know. That's a story right there. I'm surprised they don't do a whole episode about why she's got a piece of her ear missing.
I don't know.
No cat jokes.
I'm glad they're doing more with Jax, the Bajoran security guy, rather than just I say we shoot, which was kind of like the one like joke. That's the thing, man. I do think, as much as I don't agree with some of their choices, it does seem and again, I mean, out of 5 episodes, I've liked 2, that there's a bit of an evolution in how they're telling stories. They're not confined, as we talked about this last week as well. They're not confined with, oh, this is happening on the big side of, with the bridge crew, and then here's our little bullshit story that we're doing with Lower Decks and everything. I mean, we have that. But there seems to be a bit more nuance, and again, we had 3 stories instead of just 2. So,
I like how they finally told you what those outfits were called. They're called scants. I made a note. Those outfits they would wear with no pants on the first season or 2. Remember on Star Trek they wore that? Yeah.
Scant. No, I just thought
they're called skirt pants, basically scants. That's what it says, scants, and I said that's what it must stand for.
I know, but I'm laughing in annoyance because, like, really, that's what
we're talking about. Yeah,
I know,
man.
Then they went to the white outfit, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't know.
I'm kind of with Langley when he said he was bored by the episode. I wasn't bored, but it wasn't the worst.
No, it was just another episode.
1.5, maybe 2. Again, I don't mean to be so generous. Because, like I said, I really did like last week's episode, and I did like the Collector episode enough that I gave it 2.5. Yet, the more I think about it, it's like I must have liked that episode a lot more than I realized. And I would imagine if we slowed this down and looked at all the things that were there as they were going through the space station, there probably were more visual jokes that I'd probably laugh at.
I was going to say the Blues Brothers thing, if they just had one character say, they broke my watch, I would have given it 4 or 5 stars.
Just that music.
Yeah. And they crashed into one thing. I was like, oh, the new Oldsmobiles are in early this year. Yeah, this mall's got everything.
Yeah. How come the new shuttlecrafts are in early this year? And that's the thing, man. Yeah. We could do better jokes than what they do.
I know. When I watched it, I was thinking all these Blues Brother references because that's the obvious go-to. Sure. And then she said, oh, it smells like pee in here, or it smells like urine when they got to the place, that mall. I'm like, you could do a bunch of mall jokes and stuff. I mean, that's kind of a common reference point.
Yeah, how come they had Quarks.
Yeah.
But I remember on Deep Space Nine, Kira eating a Junja, or a Romulan was eating a Junja stick. And I see you're sampling a Junja stick, which is some sort of sweet, snack on Bajoran cuisine, and she's like, I like sour stuff, and the Romulan's like, oh, well, then you had like an Olo thing, very tart, whatever. And it's like, you're right. You could have had like a little like Cinnabon or whatever. You could have had or then walk into Quarks. That was a missed opportunity.
Oh, I saw more. There was a picture of Morn on the background on the wall. They had like,
that's aliens.
Funny. I saw Morn there. I was like, oh, cool. There's a reference.
See, there you go.
Nothing to do with the story, just another little detail like the Archer ship, or not Archer ship.
That's the thing. Pattern. I like that. I like that's okay.
That tells you the story sucks, that your eyes wandering, and I'm looking around in the background of the scene to see if there's any funny stuff, because what's in front of me is not funny. But we know that already. Everybody knows this.
Should we move on to Star Trek Day?
Yes.
Yeah, that talk about something positive, because Lower Rex is just another episode.
There were annoying things about Star Trek Day. I will not deny it. Starting with
Will Wheaton.
They had 2. Well, yeah, but even before that, they had two young women as kind of red carpet hosts.
Mhm.
And if you watch this show, if you watch any of that, because I don't think they chopped that part up at all for the stuff they threw up online after the event.
Mhm.
But I don't mean to be rude, but they really didn't know their Star Trek, including current Star Trek, because they were reading tweets that were coming in from fans, and someone made a reference to Mariner, and the girl's like, I really like when Mariner does YZ, and it's like, you don't watch Lower Decks, do you? And
Who were they?
I have no idea. There was a white lady and there was a young Asian lady. They're both young people, and relatively speaking, and they kind of were in tops that looked like original series, kind of not the onesies, but like blouses that looked like that. Mm-hmm. And it was, the white lady was in gold, like command gold. Mm-hmm. And I believe the other woman was in blue, like science blue, and the Asian lady. And the only reason why I'm pointing out their ethnic backgrounds is to differentiate from them. But the blonde woman that was a white lady really, like, she mispronounced Ricardo Montalban's name, which I can appreciate from a generational standpoint. You know, you're not watching Fantasy Island reruns. It's okay, lady.
How did she say it?
I don't really even remember. I didn't. Rob caught that, and that blew Rob's mind. We both laughed at Mariner, but there was another character where it's like, man, you really don't watch. Like, I have no idea. Maybe she's a Next Generation fan.
It's emblematic of the staff on Lower Decks.
Yeah, I was going to say
they watch.
When Ricardo Mount Blanc starred as Khan, you're like, who? What?
So that's funny. It's like you were there for college credits, so give them a break.
It was an internship. That's all.
And Langley's like, oh my god, they were insufferable. I felt so bad for him. You know, and it was because that's a tough job. And it was the other thing that I laughed at in spite of the broadcast. It was very Jerry Lewis telethon in that it was such a live show that there were miscues and camera wasn't ready, or okay, we're going back to the main stage. But as Mitch started to say, we had LeVar Burton's adult daughter, which is insane, and Will Wheaton as the co-hosts. And they always annoy me when they do their stuff as well. I won't deny it because there's such rah-rah people.
Were there live people there?
Yes,
like on stage and stuff like that. Not zoomed in and stuff.
No, it was a live event, and there was an audience, and also, which I really liked, there was like a full orchestra, and every time they would talk about whatever show, they would play the theme of the show. And it was very impressive. I mean, they had French horns there for the Next Generation theme.
French
horn.
And
a nice, and they had a full string section. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was.
They spent money on it.
You know, yeah.
They spent money, but that's the thing. You're like, how could this be? You see those red carpet premieres of all the Marvel movies and stuff when they have the thing. They know what they're doing after a while. They got a producer or a director going, cue camera two, cue camera two. How could you not do this?
It makes you think, if they spent so much money on an orchestra, do they get to the host and say, "Oh, we forgot to hire some hosts.
We forgot to hire a director or something to tell people in their earpiece."
College girls,
you're up.
I honestly, I wasn't there for the beginning. I screwed up. I scheduled a word balloon. I was talking to Carrie Nord for an hour.
I'm assuming it's a Paramount production, right? Who produced it? It was like Paramount.
Oh no, this was absolutely a Paramount production. No question.
They got money and they know how to do TV, so I can't be. How could it be amateurish? That doesn't make sense.
I don't disagree with Langley. Will Wheaton really wants to be on one of these shows. They, if he's not, it's stupid. But it really is like kind of annoying how, as Langley says, he can stop being so sycophantic with the sycophantic after show. But also, they all like tease him. Oh, Will, we'd have a great role for you on X show. Well, and in fact, there was a 6-minute interview with Alex Kurtzman, who is on location in Spain, making The Man Who Fell to Earth. He talked about it. It isn't in production yet, or maybe they're writing it, but they talked about the Starfleet Academy proposed TV show. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, it will be great to get a cadet point of view, just entering the Federation, seeing how everything works. And of course, Will's like, well, if you want that kind of point of view, I certainly have some thoughts. And and of course, and I mean, if they aren't talking to Will Wheaton about what he did to build his own character, they're idiots. But
you know what? I saw that. I watched that interview. I was thinking for a brief moment, maybe he doesn't know who Will Wheaton is. He probably thinks he's from the Big Bang Theory, and he's probably like, "What the hell is this kid talking about? What do you mean he knows what a kid is like on a starship?"
Yeah.
Oh, he was on Star Trek the next. Oh, I didn't know that because I really got that weird
just
disconnect.
wait till next episode. They'll put a reference of
They'll put a reference to him
in Lower Decks. Yeah.
Nah, I wanted to punch Wheaton's face out. I don't know what it is. His teeth were bothering me. That's how critical I started. He's like,
I like him. I met him years ago. He's very.
I met him too at a convention, but it's just like, hey.
I just think that he's a slightly better host. Although I really felt that he was kind of almost being passive aggressively mean to LeVar Burton's daughter because she is not a seasoned host, and I say that as someone who's anchored panels and also radio shows and other things, and it's tough to drive. And again, especially when you're getting mixed cues and stuff like that, she just seemed lost at times. And was like, "Go," and she's like,
Will Wheaton's no Johnny Carson. Who the hell's he to pick on?
Yeah, but again, he is. He's been doing that Ready Room show for a couple of years now. Again, he's doing it, and also, that spoken word story that he performs about meeting William Shatner and how he was a dick to him and everything. So he's got a little more experience than young Ms. Burton would. So, you see, nice. Stuart says LeVar's daughter was lost in the neutral zone.
I like the question that he asked him. He goes, how does it feel to be the producer of having 5 consecutive Star Trek shows happening at one time? And I had to stop and think. I go, Lower Decks, Discovery, Brave New World, Prodigy. What's the 5th one then?
Picard.
Oh, Picard. There you go. That's 5.
No, there's 5.
And he screwed up all 5 at one time. That's a multi-talented guy.
What's the power of math, people?
But no, I'm just saying, which one of those 5 is great? Oh, no. Did you catch the key thing that Kurtzman says he likes that they're giving Star Trek fan each show has its own theme or flavor or something like that. Like each one is its own certain level of suckiness is what he wanted to say.
No, and again, I'd agree with the results.
Yeah,
but I would agree with the sentiment that each show is striving to be its own thing and is different.
Striving.
I get that, and I encourage it. I need them to be better.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's why I feel stupid in terms of like I should be a pig in shit right now because my favorite franchise has 5 different shows, but they're not smart. Again, Rob and I'm going to release the audio of Rob and my discussion as well as this audio. But Rob and I really, we talked long and hard about it in terms of just that Star Trek used to be a really smart science fiction show.
Used to be.
And that's the problem. It's like, no, the current writers, it's on like the original show and even subsequent shows would hire real science fiction writers to write their episodes, especially the original series. Not only the obvious of Harlan Ellison, but George Clayton Johnson wrote the first episode, who wrote a ton of Twilight Zones.
He wrote Logan's Run. Yeah. Right.
And also other writers, Theodore Sturgeon was a very prominent
Hey, what happened? What did Burnett do that he got blocked from the Star Trek Lower Decks Twitter feed?
I think it's a combination of.
Can we do that? Can we get blocked from Lower Decks?
No, I'd rather not because I'd like to be able to, get news from them and see what's going on. But no, I imagine because his audience is so big.
Yeah.
It is. Man, it really is like the bull chasing the flies. As far as like that, they're so angry that there are negative YouTubers out there that
I wouldn't consider him negative YouTuber.
Well, they clearly do, and that's why they did that. And I think he is. I think he is. He's very critical. He said, "I haven't liked any new Star Trek since for 11 years since the J.J. movie. I didn't like that either." And he's just like, "I've been consistently disappointed." Now
he's not hostile. He's not saying it. He's just saying his opinion. I don't understand why he had to be blocked. That's
you're right. And even one step further, the guy has worked on and off for CBS and Paramount, making those bonus features for the Next Generation and Enterprise collections, and all the video we used to see at the Star Trek Experience of all those great character scenes and battle scenes. Rob cut all that up. Rob was the video editor on all that stuff.
He's a fan. He's like one of the top 10 fans of Star Trek in the history of fandom. Why go out of your way to make well, no, that's it. We don't like what you're saying. You're blocked. Because he's an angry old white guy. That's what somebody's going to tell me right now. They're going to post because he's one of you. Yeah, he's one of you.
You know, there is that reflex. I mean, God, we saw it with the comment earlier. And it's like, no, you're wrong. And God, Rob's the first one to point out that, and I always thought it was cool. I had no idea this was happening because I wasn't reading the magazine. But during Deep Space Nine, Jet is like, wow, finally we're getting a portrayal of a black father and a black son, and it's a loving relationship, and it's nothing but positive. And it's like, yeah, and that's groundbreaking. And again, as opposed to modern Star Trek, where it's like, we're so diverse, look what we're doing, isn't this amazing? And it's like, no, they just did it.
Yeah, they covered that in one of the documentaries about like how it was like such a role model relationship.
Yeah, the DS9 one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only time that I've ever heard the veterans of DS9 publicly like, hey, by the way, we're very proud that we did this. They didn't do it while the show was happening for 7 years, and they should have, because maybe it would have drawn more. I would imagine that it did do fine and again, forgive the generalization, but the fact that Avery Brooks was such a strong actor and had already shown how great he was in shows like A Man Called Hawk and Spencer and things like that, I'm sure Black Entertainment made it very aware that Avery Brooks is doing it. And again, Jet's a great example of that. So that's it's awesome.
Amazing to me that like when did that air, DS9?
93 to 99.
That there was really nothing before that portrayed
and I mean, and also Mitch, I think it was a couple years earlier because 93 year that
when Trek the movie when Generations came out,
Next Gen was still on for a year or two when DS9 started in the series because they had the crossovers. But yeah, it was around, and again, 7 years. I think it was.
It was 91 to 98 or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say because I know Voyager made it into the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And
then Enterprise. Yeah.
And Enterprise ended in 2004 after 4 seasons. So again, I was told there'd be no math today, despite what Tilly wants. So, interesting. Dot says, I'm a 44-year-old Albanian American. I've been watching Star Trek since I was 7. This current Trek products just aren't as well written as the previous series. Just my opinion. Yeah, man. No, I'm with you.
No one's arguing.
Yeah, that's you came to the right show. All right. So anyway, let's start with Picard, the Picard trailer. On the one hand, I liked it. On the other hand, this is very familiar territory that they've done in movies and television episodes, and this is like putting them all in a blender.
Yeah. Why?
Well, I thought because of COVID and they said they can't go anywhere, maybe like, let's just have them go to modern day Los Angeles and the guys could just film it and go home that night. There's a low budget.
Are you thinking the outer space scenes are actually real?
No, but I was thinking they were like, oh, you know what? We don't want to spend a lot of money on this one. I don't know why, but let's just keep everybody here in LA. Well, they're in Los Angeles too, of all places. Why did they have to end up there? Why couldn't they end up in like Chicago or Des Moines, Iowa? So.
Well, again, I think a lot of those decisions, I think you're right, were COVID based. Yeah. But I also think they've already been doing. Whenever they show exteriors, it's clearly Los Angeles. Maybe it's for the convenience of Patrick Stewart
or San Francisco.
Were they really in San Francisco?
No, the 84. Last time they went back in time, it was
talking about current Star Trek production.
Oh, you mean no. Okay. They are.
That's why, because you were just saying, well, maybe they did it because it's COVID. I agree with you. I'm also pointing out that prior to COVID, they were dealing with Riker and Troy's house was like in a California forest and everything.
Yeah, and then the vineyards were all the Napa Valley stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Of course. Yeah. So
did it strike anyone else that what they did with everything Picard first season, they kind of do away with here.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they gotta erase it.
I was excited for the trailer a little bit because I'm like, oh, at least we'll find out what's going on with that Borg cube. At least we'll, like, and it just seemed like nothing is going to be addressed.
Yeah.
Well,
I like how we've only got 3 days to make sure our future doesn't stop. Why 3 days? You're going back in time. You can keep going back.
But
they have all the time in the world then, but they don't know that yet.
We have all the time in the world.
The way we know how to go back in time, we have to go get the Borg Queen from, I'm thinking, First Contact. Somehow she's alive somewhere, and
Right. Probably get a couple of whales along the way too.
I think,
yeah, right.
All right, and there's my theory on that. I think you're right. I think it actually even extrapolating to the Enterprise episode that came after First Contact, in that maybe the Borg Queen is like a virus that was able to transmit and be in seclusion even after the Borg ship.
They found them up in the snow or something. I remember that. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And that's why 7 of 9 doesn't have the implants yet, because there are no Borg to take her. Something, I don't know. Because when she's in the past, she doesn't have the thing on her head.
Right.
So why would she not have that on her face? I mean, Spock still had his pointy. You know what I mean? That didn't make sense.
I think they try to explain a bit more in this trailer that whether it was Q or some other incident, history obviously changed, and it was in the past. So therefore, Starfleet hadn't encountered the Borg yet officially.
Right.
In the sense that, the Enterprise D, Picard's Enterprise, finds them wherever the hell they were in that first Q episode with the Borg.
Yeah.
So therefore, Annika's parents never went to Borg space, and so therefore she was never assimilated. But again, the entire crew of Crystal Ball's ship and Picard all know that time has changed in some way, and obviously in the trailer too, she says to Picard, "Time is broken." But yeah, what I don't like. All right, so that's the obvious, and yes, you're right, Mitch. In terms of, it is a callback to Star Trek 4. It's not San Francisco, obviously it's LA, but yeah, there's that. There's First Contact. There are a ton of time travel episodes. Then also the fact that because of this change, now Starfleet is, and maybe the Federation is, a totalitarian kind of Nazi thing. All right, we're back with space.
Well, no, you got
we as the fans, when Enterprise started season 4 with space Nazis, we're all like, enough with this.
No, with the Nazis. No, but here's the problem: you don't have the World War III, because Colonel Green would have started by now, because you would have had Khan and those guys going up into space, and that was like in the 90s, the eugenics war.
Right.
You don't have Gabriel Bell, was his? No. Yeah.
Right.
What was the name?
Gabriel Bell.
Yeah, they would have the uprising of the societies and stuff. That was in the late or the early 2000s. This was just nowadays. They were here where we live, and I'm like, where are all these Star Trek futures that we learned about in all the previous shows?
I will give them the chance to explain that.
Okay.
I think you're right, but I also think that because time is broken, either not only potential real world things, but also more likely Trek real world things like the eugenics war, some of these things. This is a chance for them to say, this happened, so therefore this didn't happen, and this didn't happen. And I mean, there's just a bunch of, it's the butterfly effect. I mean, that's and again, that's good, because in a good time travel story, we do want you to do that.
But did you think they really needed it as a crutch? You got Q, that's one, fine. Q's fine. But to go back in time with Q, I just thought you're really just going out of every bag of tricks. You've done them all at this point now. Like, the fans are going to love this.
But why does Q look so old? If he has all that power, why is he older?
And you could CGI him. You could young him up like they do in the Disney movies.
Well, no, if anything, I think maybe Picard will say, "Why are you older?" And it's like, I wanted to make you feel better.
Yeah, it would be a quick line
and stuff. Sure. And I actually liked, although again, I hate when they swear on Star Trek, but I did kind of like him saying, "Q, I've had enough of your bull," and then snap.
No, I'm looking forward to it. When I saw it, I was happy to see it, but then I started thinking about it as soon as it ended. I go, why are they doing this again? Why are they? And I'm like starting to whine. Why can't we like anything? Why can't we enjoy what we have when they give it to us? I don't know why. It's a nerd thing.
I think they want to Listen, I believe the feedback they heard from Picard season 1 was, God, we really would have liked to have seen everybody else, rather than this new crew, and also, they lean on the familiar. I mean, when we get to Strange New Worlds, there's a lot more obvious things in that area, but let's stick with Picard right now, and it's I mean, I think it's relying on old tropes of Trek. They looked at a top 10 list of Trek episodes. Well, people like this, people like that, whatever. Or, First Contact made a lot of money. They traveled back in time in that one. The Borg were involved. I hope that what we saw in season 1 of Picard with Seven and the Borg is further explored, because there was that moment when she released all the Borg drones, when she had to be the queen of that.
Right.
And that's really interesting, because it really is like almost like an alcoholic being forced to drink and remembering the good feeling and stuff and being like, oh shit, I hope I don't fall back. And the one poignant conversation that she and Picard have in terms of, do you feel human? Not quite. Not really.
Well, the fact that she's there, she could change the entire Borg future herself, because she could be all the bad things that the Borg are going to do. She could go back if that is the Borg
like
queen
Hugh.
in the
like
past, and she could just say, you know what, you can assimilate people without wiping out their individual. I don't know. She could do something. Maybe she has the queen versus queen fight, like a cat fight between.
Yeah, no, that potential
7 of 9 good Borg queen versus the bad Borg queen, and they just like.
Well, and again, I didn't see this in the trailer, but what I have heard in post-trailer comments is the queen is in the past and being held captive in some way. So yes, I agree that there is the opportunity for a Borg queen versus Seven confrontation. I think it's possible and would be very interesting. Or maybe the fact that she's in the past, maybe that's one of the reasons why there's this catalyst of change towards a totalitarian, almost hive mind within the Federation, and that maybe she's influencing that in her way, being there or whatever. I don't know. I'm willing to go on the journey and find out. It is interesting enough that I'm there. I'm just slightly disappointed. When Patrick Stewart came out and said to the Trek audience at one of those Vegas conventions, when they made the initial announcement, I was expecting a much more contemplative, smaller drama about Jean-Luc Picard at a very old age. It would have been interesting if they would have pursued the when he has that first interview, and it's like, clearly your ideas are out of touch with our current society. That would have really been interesting in a much smaller story way, without the tentacles and all the bullshit we got. And I was really hoping for that, and especially when he said it's really a 3-season story, and they made the announcement at Star Trek Day that not only dropping the trailer and saying the next season starts in February, but also that season 3 has already been guaranteed, which is good. I mean, I thought it was a foregone conclusion, but it's good that they announced it. I don't know how much filming. They said production is underway. I don't know how much filming they might have done while they were doing season 2. I know Discovery's season 4 was being shot alongside season 3, so that's why they're going to be ready in November. But
I was surprised they didn't drop a Guinan cameo, because he was on The View and he told Whoopi Goldberg, "What you like to be in season 2 of Picard?"
Well, and that doesn't mean we're still. I think I would hope.
I think we'll see other members too.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, and we'll
Geordi
see them as,
like
and maybe we'll see totalitarian Geordi, totalitarian Worf, or whatever crew member you want. Certainly, Riker might be back.
Maybe they'll see Gary Seven show up. And say,
I love that. Poor
Wouldn't that
Robert
be cool?
Lansing is dead.
Well, he's dead, but the idea of him.
It's a shame though. But it's a shame Next Generation never used him.
No, I
because
even,
he acted through the 90s, obviously.
Wasn't that supposed to be a pilot anyway with him and Terry Garr?
Yeah.
That was the whole idea.
Yeah. There's been a couple of really good novels. And also comics that have.
Was he an alien or was he a human person?
Well, no, he was a human, but he was sent to the future and raised by I forget which planet it was, and came back with all these abilities and technology.
I did not know that.
Langley says she's in it, meaning Whoopi.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's fine. Again, and I mean they gotta save for the next trailer that they're gonna run right before the series begins, that they'll show probably during Discovery or whatever.
I hope Riker's pizza restaurants are back. Riker's making
those aren't franchised all over.
I know, right? Right next to work.
Yeah.
Or Riker's weight loss clinics, right next to it.
Langley is right. Gary Seven's story is great in the Khan trilogy novels. Absolutely, yes.
Oh, okay. And that's going to lead into your story about Captain Pike, because there's a Noonien Singh mention. I was like, oh,
way to spoil, Mitch.
Well, come on.
I'm kidding. Let's talk.
That was a segue, John. I was giving you a slow pitch right there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of, again, it would have been easier and nicer to maybe start with the rebooted characters that are coming up. But sure, let's start. We may as well. Cat's out of the bag. Let's talk about. Let me see if I get the.
I'm very excited for Strange New Worlds. It's just.
There she is.
Yeah.
Christina Chong.
Go on, finish your thought, Franco. You're excited.
I'm very excited for Strange New Worlds. When I saw what you sent me about the cast, I'm like, oh, why? Again, they're doing what you said, leaning heavily on what they've known and bringing in Uhura and
Doctor.
I'm like, doesn't that make her like much younger than what she was supposed to be on the original series? Or
I understand that feeling. One of my favorite Star Trek novels was, I think, called Enterprise, and it's all about Kirk's first, like, literally months taking over as captain.
Yep.
And Uhura, I believe, was already on Pike's Enterprise. So while it's never really been in canon, because books are of the universe or whatever, however they refer to it, I like that. I think that's okay, and I think it fits. And she is so young looking in those first season episodes. So I mean, it's kind of interesting that she has a longer career on Enterprise before Jim Kirk gets there. And I don't mind. You're right. It's supposed to be 9 years before Kirk. So I can appreciate from an age standpoint that it looks weird. I don't mind. I mean, that's
what's very confusing to me is Rebecca Romaine Stamos plays
number one.
And her name's Una, which is Italian for one.
Right.
So
come on. Man.
So she's Majel Barrett, right? And then they have the other character that's also Majel Barrett.
Oh wow,
Nurse Chapel. Yeah. And then Lwaxana Troy. And then the computer voice. I'm like,
oh my god! The whole show has always been about Majel.
It's always been about her.
We never realized it. It's been Agatha all along. It's been Majel all along.
It was
That is trippy. I didn't think of that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's as Stuart says, if number one meets Nurse Chapel, does the TVA show?
Right? Does it blow up? Yeah, the TVA is coming.
But yeah, Oh, here, I'm sorry. I missed this earlier, and I want to acknowledge that Wayne has a thought about season 1 of Picard that I like to put up. I thought if the first season focused on Starfleet's refusal to help the Romulans, would have been interesting to see Picard descent from popularity. Yeah, I'm with them. Good point. But back to Strange New Worlds. Let's go back to the cast. Let's finish our thought though on the Noonien Singh character. Yeah, this is a real not to be a jerk as a viewer and a longtime Star Trek fan. You better have a really smart idea, and it better not just be, oh, she's undercover and she's under an assumed name, but this is really who it is. Because as others have already pointed out here on the dialogue and stuff, it's like that Noonien Singh thing really worries me. It is years before Space Seed. Why wouldn't, if she is an official member of the crew, why is it when they get Khan Noonien Singh that they don't go, wait a minute?
We know this person, yeah,
right. And I of course, Space Seed was made 50 years before what they're doing now. But shame again, if you got a great reason and it blows us away, if you have a bullshit reason, like, oh, she's not really who she seems, shame on you. Because
she's a clone of Ricardo Montalban. That's what it is.
It might be. Actually,
no, what's
you might be right, man. Actually, I was about to make fun of you. You might be right in terms
people do that all the time.
Why don't they? Well, yeah, I'm aware of that. We all do. Franco and I do it behind your back constantly.
We do it behind your face,
but no, honestly, you're right about that. It could very well be that Khan had always planned to leave DNA behind, even though he was locked up on the Botany Bay, and that there was a secret plan to grow descendants of Khan.
Well, he wanted to make a master race. That was his whole thing. Of
course. But again, you better have a good. I don't want it to be, I'm Clem Kadiddlehopper, but I am in reality, whatever.
Well, maybe it's supposed to be Dr. Noonien Sung, but they got the letters mixed up when they came over on the boat. So
I like when Wayne says she's friends with Burnham and she's Spock's previous fiance. Exactly.
Is that true?
He hated T'Pring. No, of course it's not true.
I don't know. The show, there's like 12 people in the whole galaxy, and they all know each other.
Well, my prediction for Strange New World, my prediction for Strange New Worlds is that there's going to be another sibling.
Oh no!
Besides Sybok and Burnham,
Sam Kirk.
About.
I admit, again, especially after interviewing Mr. Luckenbill, I stand by Sybok, and if you really want to impress me. If you really want to impress me, make Sybok matter.
Or George Kirk shows up.
Sure.
Why not?
Sure. Well, again, this is early enough. His dad, they only explained it in the books that he disappeared in space.
I thought he was in that colony that got wiped out by
well, that's Sam. That's Sam. That's
No. The father and the mother were killed
No, that is Kirk's brother who died in the colony.
No, his brother got killed by the flying egg thing. Remember when they landed?
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. That is what I was thinking.
Yeah, killed by Mork.
Yeah, because Shatner played his brother on the scene when he rolled them over. But their parents were killed by Kodos, the executioner. You ever watch this show?
Oh, it was that. Hey, nice going. Exactly. Yeah, it probably was the wacky weed that made me forget.
And I haven't watched that fucking show in 50 years. Well, that's scarier.
Wow, is that okay? And by the way, I also, Stuart, when they announced the character, I thought they were talking about Noonien Sung descendant. And it really wasn't until I was talking to Rob last night where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is a Khan descendant. Yeah. I'm like, oh, man, F you. I'm like, wait a minute. What are you doing, man?
But did they know who he was when they revived him? I got to remember that episode. I haven't seen it. Did they know instantly? It's not like, oh, his name is Bob Hitler, and they all flipped out. Is it like Noonien Singh is like the Smith of the eugenics war? Does everyone know
the redheaded officer that was the historian put it together, and even had a painting. That she made of, I am honored. And they had already passed that along to Kirk. She had already passed that along to Kirk.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
But it's just like if Saddam Hussein showed up 200 years from now, not everyone's going to go, what's that guy's name?
No, I understand that. But again, once the historian says, hey, that's so-and-so, again, like if it there as always, it's a massive mistake to me.
Yeah.
To insert these, like Spock's brother, Spock's sister. Yeah. It's dumb to insert that stuff in the timeline rather than, okay, while that was happening, this was happening somewhere else. And like you said, has nothing to do with 10 people that we already know from this era. But they are short of thoughts and ideas. So it is only interesting. Ooh, she's Spock's.
No. She's going to be like she's a relative of him, and she knows her family's history, and he tried to take over the world. So she's trying to make good on the family name.
I don't care.
She joined Starfleet just to prove that they're not all bad seeds.
Don't care.
Bad space.
Don't care.
Seeds.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah,
wink,
cute.
Wink.
Doesn't matter.
But that's what it is.
No, and you might very well be right in terms of I'm a good Noonien Singh.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to improve my name. Doesn't matter. Again, her existence doesn't jive with the story that we were told.
No.
And again, it's either going to be, she's under deep cover. You can't reveal who she is. Please wipe it out of the memory banks. And all that's cheap. All of that is cheap.
God, I hope not.
I don't think that's smart.
Well, you know what's so funny? They showed all these new characters, and we're already hating on this one poor character because of her name drop. Because it's intentional. They know the fans know who that is.
Because now they want us to watch and be like
it's a misdirection.
The people that are excited and the people that are angry. Absolutely. And Stuart also points out and says, could Singh be a time traveler? Sure.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Sure. Time is broken.
Not like they've ever done that before.
Where's like Mr. Kiley and all these other B characters that were always on the ship that never got anywhere? I wouldn't mind. Why not have them show up? You know.
And I'm with Dowd on this in terms of this has been the problem with New Trek. They retcon what they want and toss in these little references to please older fans.
Yep.
And yeah, man. And again, as Rob and I were talking last night, if you would set these new shows in a different timeline or do what Galactica did and said, hey, it's a reboot. We're going to have callback names and things, but we're going to mess with the history.
Yeah.
A lot of us that are complaining would be like, well, it's a reboot. Okay.
Why don't you have Captain Robert April show up too? Oh, that's
I would love that.
I would love that. And what's the doctor's name? The old guy that was there with Pike.
Well, that's if I may, and let's talk about this final character that we haven't talked about yet. I am thrilled.
Yeah,
that Doctor. I always said M'Benga, but I've heard people pronounce it as M'Benga. Like,
what did you say?
And do you recognize Dr. M'Benga at all?
No, I know he was on the old show, but you're saying it's like M'Baku from
right.
I always said M'Baku, like an M.
Yeah, I understand, and I mean, I always just phonetically would go M'Benga rather than an M'Benga. But regardless, yes, and it's crazy because in a lot of cities, to make room for an extra commercial, a lot of the Dr. M'Benga's scenes were cut.
Right.
And you'd see him in the end credits, or you'd see a photo of him during the end credits, and it's like, oh, yeah, that guy.
No, but I love the idea. What was the other doctor's name? I remember Pike going to his quarters, and that old guy was pouring him a drink. I thought that was the ship's doctor.
Yes, and again, why on the one hand, I love that M'Benga is part of the crew, but I am disappointed that Dr. Boyce, is not, and again, maybe he will be. Maybe he'll still be.
I was going to say, maybe it's a thing where, the story will progress, and then you'll see what happens.
There's 2 doctors on board the ship. I don't know.
Well, and again, the reason why M'Benga is there is because regular Starfleet doctors couldn't handle Vulcan physiology, and he was there specifically to treat.
Oh, okay.
So that's why his character existed in past canon.
They didn't learn anything from T'Pol when she was on the other ship.
I just explained why he exists. Doesn't matter.
All right.
Moving on.
Didn't that guy keep records and his medical files? Like, here's how
whatever. Doesn't matter. Moving on. The point is that's why M'Benga existed. But 2 things. One, I like the idea of an older advisor to a captain. And I guess as someone that's approaching my own senior years, I was looking forward to that. And I like John Hoyt, the actor that played Dr. Boyce in that pilot episode, and had enough agency in his scenes to give us a nice full character and be like, that would be cool to have that kind of guy around. And also, there was a rumor, and it may still happen, that I believe Andrew Robinson was rumored to be playing Boyce in Strange New Rules. And that would have been cool as well. And we might still get it. We'll see. Who knows? And again, I'm okay with M'Benga there. I don't want that misconstrued. But yeah, and if anything, let's have 2 doctors.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to know, the evolution of the story as it happens. Where does the other doctor come in?
Yeah.
If at all. Yeah.
All right. What was the other ensign's name, the girl, when they got on the planet Talos 4 and you said, oh, this one here is more athletic and she'll produce children like that. Is that who that ensign was supposed to be with the shaved hair?
Shame on me. I forgot to mention the Hispanic
character. Because that's what I was thinking. Is that
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I really don't think so. Again, on the one hand, I'm thrilled that there are new characters, and also that they appear mostly to be bridge characters, or in the case of Nurse Chapel and M'Benga, the fact that, they're part of sickbay, and that's an important part of the ship and everything. I would have liked to have seen a couple more of the original Cage
Yeah.
Bridge Crew members, because there was a great novel that Peter David made called The Rift, and it was a sequel to a Captain Pike era story. And one of the bridge crew, who I believe is either the helmsman or the navigator, and he gets on Talos 4, and he's one of the guys shooting at the elevator with phasers and stuff. Blonde-haired guy. But his name was Tyler, and I believe it's the same character in this novel. That then they went into the future of the original cast movie era.
Yeah, and
they went back to a planet. And it's a great story because he's on there, and Dr. Daystrom from M5 is there, and Ambassador Fox, who was one of the ambassadors. I believe Taste of Armageddon. He was the ambassador there. So, like, Peter David was smart. He had all these former people that had like one shots on original series things, brought them all into this future story. So from that standpoint, and again, maybe we'll still see.
Is that the guy that says to what's your name's parents? Oh, the time barrier's been broken. That's the guy? Because I was always like weirded out on that. Like, oh, so this is the first time they went back in time. I guess.
Well, again, I think that's clunky dialogue.
Yeah,
trying to explain warp speed.
And
that's
it was 1960s. I get it.
So, Stuart wants to know where Scotty is.
Where is Scotty?
I hear you. And then Dowd asks, were Sulu and Chekhov on the Enterprise?
Not Chekhov. He would be way too young. Yeah.
Chekhov came on Enterprise on the original series in the second season.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean,
that Enterprise book that the books don't count, but the Enterprise book you referred to, I think Sulu and Kirk came aboard the same time. I think, if I remember,
you are right.
Kirk came
from that story point.
He came from the Farragut. Kirk did. He was transferring over.
Yes,
and then Sulu. They were both like brand new to the ship. If I remember.
No, but you're right about that because they either fence or they box.
Yeah, something. There was an exchange.
And like Sulu like clocks Kirk or whatever, and he didn't see it coming. But okay. Or
maybe Gary Mitchell could show up too. Why not? Why not? Why don't we get all the old guys on the ship? We don't have an original. Starfleet is made up of 15 people. That's it. There's nobody else on that ship.
God. Well, we'll see. And again, there's enough here that I'm excited. I mean, Anson Mount is fantastic.
Oh yeah, he is. Wouldn't you shit your pants if there's an Ensign Bulmer there and it's Bulmer's great grandfather or something? And they do a whole episode of Lower Deck Rejects, and there's a Mariner, and you're like, oh my God, no, they're making it fucked up too.
I hope not. At the very least, I'll accept a California class starship like the Cerritos.
Maybe they'll show up on Prodigy.
And obviously, that was announced as well. Here, before we finish,
did you get all the new crew people? Is that it?
What's that?
No, I said, you know what's so funny? At least we know the names of the new bridge crew because we know some of them from other shows. Not like Discovery, where 4 years in, I'm like, I don't know which one, the guy with the shaved head, and But at least we know most of these.
What I did want to say is final thought. Akiva Goldsmith, the showrunner, there he is. Very happy with himself here in this picture. He really doubled down on the Spock smiling thing.
Oh no!
In terms of the Cage, where no man has gone before, the second pilot, and a couple early episodes, Spock smiles, and we are going to explore because he is not the finished product that we all know and love. And again, it's a choice. And it's clear that they are sticking with that. We'll see how annoying it is or isn't in terms of will Ethan Peck out loud start laughing about something stupid? God only knows.
He was just trying to fit in. That's all.
Well,
like you go to a new job and they all like the Bears and you like the Rams and you're go Bears and like, oh, I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't think it's fitting in, Mitch, because again, what is inherent in Vulcan society is yes, they have emotions, but it's like almost shameful to let them show. So I understand that young Spock would have this problem, but I'm sorry. I think they addressed that in that animated episode yesteryear.
Yep.
So elegantly. And they even there's a minor callback to it in
the Abrams movie.
Right, exactly. The first movie. But I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like you did it that way, and well, again, all I can say is what they've shown me with Spock laughing and smiling and everything on the new shows. It doesn't make him a more interesting character.
No,
it diminishes him, in my belief. So big words, I know. Yeah, and I mean,
so has it been said, so it is written. Ta-da.
He says so. Kiva's trying to show more of Spock's humanity instead of seeing to the classic folk trope. Yeah, again.
Why don't we just talk about how eventually Pike's going to be in that chair going beep beep? I just want him to do that a couple times, just like.
By the way, that was another.
That was it, yeah. And there was another ship. I realized it when you said it. They had the Doomsday machine was hanging up above that bar as well. That log thing. That it was there.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, well that's been
with the J.J. Abrams movie. They definitely went that way.
Yeah.
But in the first season, and I was talking about this with Rob last night when we were trying to beyond the cage and Where No Man Has Gone before the second pilot. I'm like, it's either during Charlie X or it's the Conscience of the King with Kodos the Executioner and everything. But there's a scene in the mess hall of from the first season of the original series where Spock is playing the harp and Uhura is singing, and they smile to each other.
Yeah, Beyond Antares. Beyond Antares. That's the song she sings.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get the album, but
I did. It's right here.
But I was going to say the fact, and again, maybe they're building on that. Yeah. In those Pike years, maybe Spock and Uhura got together.
Yeah, but do you really need to see that? Do you really care? I was going to say, I don't care. I already know who Mr. Spock is. I saw the movies and the TV shows. I don't want to know who he's banging when he's a younger guy.
But also,
it's not going to change anything.
We got that in great original series episodes like This Side of Paradise, where it's like, I can't commit to a relationship.
Right.
And I don't want to see him fail at a relationship. I think it's more interesting and even more painful that it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not wired that way. My Vulcan heritage and the way that I was raised, I can't just have a relationship. It's complicated.
Maybe they'll talk about Pike's girlfriend. Remember you had that like back home type of thing when they were like, oh, look, there's the horse and all that stuff. Remember
I don't know if there really was a woman because it was always Vina.
Yeah, but I always thought it was like
putting herself in his memories,
right,
rather than it representing a real woman. Because she's even like, hey, you're home. You can even stay here if you want.
You would know this. Remember there was a story about Dr. McCoy. They did it in the movies. Oh, my wife took my bones and all that bullshit. Yeah. But there was another story because he had a daughter. I can't remember the daughter's name.
Joanna.
But there was Joanna, yeah. And there was a thing about his first wife. They mentioned that it was a nasty divorce and he became a ship's doctor because he just wanted to be like away from everything. And like the way I always liked that. I was like, why can't you show that Pike? Maybe he's got a bad home life or he's got like a wife that died or something and he doesn't want to go to Earth. And the reason why he's out there is because there's nothing left for him on the Earth and he doesn't give a shit about coming back to the Earth or something. They never really get into these like career guys. Like, why would you join Starfleet and go on a 5-year mission? Because only people that really have nothing to go home to would do that. And I think that's like an interesting character. Like, if you got a guy who's got nothing to lose, that's the guy who's going to go on the ship and fucking Corbinite maneuver, blow the fucking thing up and kill everybody because he ain't got anybody home who's going to miss him if he's blown up tonight. And that's the ballsy shit you need. But they never get into like the why. Why is he a good captain? Why is this one on the ship? It's all this made up nonsense. I don't need to see an affair between Spock and Nurse Chapel and all that because I've already learned
that's how they become good captains and good first officers. Come on. Midge.
Because they have no home life?
Honestly, I would say
they're stumping in outer space.
They do explore those traits in the movies with the original cast because even in Star Trek V, when they're all around the campfire, normal people when they have shore leave, they go home to their families. And Kirk's like, we're not normal people,
right? And he goes, I'll never die alone, or wasn't
right.
But those are good scenes. Those are character moments, like you said. But then they think the new regime that runs the Star Trek shows think by adding stupid ideas like Spock's dyslexic. That's a character development. That's nothing. That's just a trait. Like, oh, I've got like rapid heartbeat or something. It's like that doesn't make who you are. It's just I've got 6 fingers. That's not a thing. It's not.
It's these.
It doesn't compel you to do something.
It's these attempts to make further connections with regular people watching and the newer generation watching. And Spock's like me.
Oh, do you think so?
100%.
That's what they're trying to do.
And what I don't like is,
I agree with Johnny.
Yeah,
really?
and what I don't like is
more accessible. You mean? They're trying to make them accessible. Yeah.
I'll explain. The fact that they're being so direct and going, Spock was dyslexic, therefore he's just like you, rather than Spock is detached from other people because he's a Vulcan. And I, as someone who thinks I'm other in any way, whether it's your sex, whether it's you're uncomfortable socially, I mean, it runs the spectrum of I don't feel comfortable around other people. That's why I relate to Mr. Spock. That's why I love Mr. Spock, because despite all that brilliance, here's his flaw. Yeah, and I think that is so much more inclusive. And instead, no, Spock's dyslexic. This character's gay. This character's non-binary.
Oh, so you think this whole pigeonhole thing or whatever you want to call it? See, I always liked the fact that he was a one of a kind. Everyone didn't like him because he was a loner, but yet here he was willing to do anything to help all of that whole needs of the many, all that stuff that would come later on. But even in the original show, you had this unique character who was a fish out of water because there was nobody on the ship like him. Yet he was the most humane guy because he was the one that was trying to discover what it was like to be. Even Data was like that too. Data wasn't human, but through Data, you watched how it was to be human. You learned about things, but you didn't have to say this character is whatever, like autistic, and this character has no emotion, and this and that. Why can't you just make them a universal character, and then the story kind of molds? I don't have a
problem. I don't have a problem doing that with new characters. Like if they took and introduced Data at the next generation, but they had this thing about him where he was autistic or something like that. Like that carries on through the life of the character, and you can explore that in stories. They set up Spock to be this way in the original series, and they explored all that, and it was interesting. Now they're retconning it, or like
or giving a specific reason,
like Johnny
why.
Says, to make them, assign them to have traits like we do, or like this other person does. I say do that with new characters. I don't understand. I agree with Johnny about this. I don't like.
No, I hear you. I because I wondered that on Discovery. I'm like, wow, there's like something for like a checkbox. Like, oh, we got that, and I go. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, just tell an interesting story.
I'm saying it's wrong.
Character.
I'm saying it's wrong because
I'm saying that's what's happened. That's the world we live in with them. They don't want to offend anybody. I get that, but.
Read the quote, because again, I think this supports what we're saying.
Says, because when I was in the audience at a film festival for the Nimoy documentary his son made, a lot of the audience spoke up, stating Spock helped them understand they were LGBTQ plus, and that helped them. That's exactly what we were saying. Is like,
that's what I'm saying. But they didn't designate and say, "Oh, Spock is an LGBTQ character." It's just that I can't. I'm tired.
I think I have the words, if I may, and that is. That along with gay people feeling uncomfortable, you could have just people that are socially awkward feeling uncomfortable and relating in the same way that these gay people do. And that's the great thing, as opposed to dyslexic.
You're saying it hit a spectrum of people and personalities and traits. No, not at all. I get what you're saying.
Watching this show. I mean, we weren't the popular. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't the popular guy in high school. I was the nerd, and that's why we were drawn to this, because it was like, oh, look, you don't have to be the jock. You don't have to be the cool guy, the pretty person. We're all important. That's what I always loved about this show. And I'm like,
and again,
lost that.
And Langley says that's why he's relatable as is, and that's to be sci-fi.
Yeah, correct.
It's a universal feeling that can be attributed to 1,000 different things. Why just make it dyslexic.
Yeah,
that is
right.
Again.
And again, nothing against
Frankly,
dyslexia,
you're
we're not trying-
insulting. If
yeah.
I may finish, you're insulting the rest of us that felt like outsiders, and now it's I see Spock's dyslexic. Well, then that's not my problem. I guess I'm just different in a different way.
But
I gotta wait for the
Yeah.
Jeff guy to come on. Then I go,
that's
that's me.
what gets us comments, about like, oh, you guys are old fat white guys that
Yeah.
you don't get this
Watch
anymore.
sex shows.
Yeah. I do get it, and where it hit a spectrum before, now you're pigeonholing it into one thing, and that's kind of what annoys me. Just like you guys are saying.
Yeah.
I did. I wanted to grow up to be Captain Kirk and bang a green alien today, and then a 20.
Man, especially if they look like Susan Oliver or
oh yeah,
or Yvonne de
no, I
Carlo.
always liked the one that was in the What Little Girls Are Made Of with that outfit.
Oh my God,
the crisscross outfit. I can't remember her name, but she was something else. She still does shows, if I recall. She still does conventions. I remember getting a list of convention people that were available, and she was on the list. I'm like,
she played Danny Thomas's daughter in
really?
For Daddy, like 2 or 3 years, through 2 or 3 years before that episode. And Gene, all right, I'd like to see her in.
How young was she, for goodness sakes? I thought she was in her 20s or something.
Well, that's the point. She was a teenager. Make Room for Daddy was on for 10 or 11 years. And when she started, she was a young teenager.
Okay. I didn't know
and by the time the show ended, not only did they marry her, but she was married to, of all people, Pat Harrington Schneider.
Oh, no kidding.
A good 10 years before One Day at a Time. So, yeah.
And that went bad because he wound up living alone and being a super of a building.
Yeah. Well, and Langley's this is why I'm not a fan of prequels across the board. I get what you're saying.
I agree with you, Langley.
But I do think that there are good exceptions, like Godfather 2, where you tell a very interesting prequel story. So it's possible, but you just have to, color within the lines. And this new Trek does not do that. As others have said, they just pick and choose at random what they want to stick with as real canon, and then they fuck with the stuff that they feel doesn't matter. And it just shows a lack of understanding what makes Star Trek special and everything. Let's move. Go ahead, Mitch.
No, I was going to say it does take away from effect, because as cool as Captain Pike is going to be on the show, and the actor's great, and no matter what happens, in the back of my mind, I'm always going to think, no matter how cool and badass he is, he's going to end up in that wheelchair with the beep beep, and you go, well, that's a tragic ending, isn't it?
I mean that's kind of the way. Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel about the sequels too. Is I already know what happens here, and the Black Widow movie that came out. I thought it was a good movie. It was fine, but I just kept thinking, oh, she's dead.
The very end of it, when she walks away, I'm like, we all know where she's going off to.
Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers for anybody.
But again,
the biggest movie of the planet.
It's never about the destination, guys. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've only seen up until this series, not including the books or comics, Captain Pike, when he is burnt out and really thinking about leaving Starfleet, I like seeing this Captain Pike, even though he has seen his fate. That it's no, he's got a career. He still has a career. There's still 8 or 9 years before we get to that point where he does wind up in the chair. So there's plenty of story to examine and character before we get to that point.
You know what?
It would be ballsy if they go through the story, but he somehow changes his future.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
No, here's one thing
I don't want him to. Yeah, but I don't want him to unravel. Because thank God. They had the foresight to use the unsold pilot and then give a nice happy ending to Pike, where he goes back and Spock takes it, and Spock again, because ultimately it's his character that he knows his former captain would have a better life on this forbidden planet. And
that's what I was just going to say.
Great story.
That was going to, if you do one thing on this new show and do it right, as you show the relationship between Pike and Spock, so much so that Spock in the future is going to risk his career and risk everything to take Captain Pike back to Talos 4 to make him have a better life. If you could you don't need all this other crazy, strange shit going on, but just develop that relationship between Spock and Pike, so much so that it becomes like that bond between the two of them, that he risks everything. That's going to be a great story.
No, I don't like that, because the whole run of this show, I'm just going to think he's cheating on Kirk. That's
Well, he doesn't know Kirk yet, so it can't be.
Yeah, but they didn't have the friend relationship.
Yeah, when that show first started, they didn't. They weren't getting
kidding.
along.
I know you're kidding.
No, I know, but Kirk and Spock weren't the best of buddies in the first couple episodes.
All right, let's do Prodigy because I got to go.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be honest. Again, I have a lot more hope for Prodigy now that we saw a couple, clipped together scenes.
Yeah,
it may still be a show for younger, like tweeners or whatever.
But at least because look at Lower Decks, we don't know what the hell that is.
Well, I understand.
Watch it be better than Lower Decks,
but it does look like it's going to be a good straight up adventure show.
Right.
The example that I keep thinking of was another Nickelodeon show, and that was the Iron Man Armored Adventure show where Tony, Rhodey, and Pepper were all teenagers.
Oh, I never saw that.
I watched a couple episodes. It wasn't for me, but it was good action and adventure in that same Disney XD sort of way, and that's okay. That's okay to me. Okay. And it's funny now. Dowd says, with it being a Nickelodeon show, will there be more yelling like Lower Decks? I don't think so, man. I thought we saw much more subtler scenes in that trailer. So I actually, and here, even Langley's like, Prodigy looks good.
It does. Yeah. Animation looks really nice. Well done.
But see, this is an example of a show that's
okay. That's a good one.
Going in a different direction with Star Trek, which I'm excited for to see what happens. But yeah,
no, and I agree with Langley. I think it's going to actually be a more mature show in its storytelling than Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Rob didn't like the fact that it's not a human story at all, and he always felt that the center. And in fact, the trailer for the motion picture in '79 was The Human Adventure.
I was just thinking that line when you said that, The Human Adventure, and then at the end of 3, it ended with that. The Human Adventure just continues or something.
I don't know.
I remember that.
But who's to know it's not going to be? You have no idea what these characters are.
They've introduced the cast, and it seems like the Janeway hologram is the only human. Because I've watched.
But I'm saying maybe I understand.
They might encounter humans. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the humans are the bad guys. I don't know.
No. They showed whatever mining planet they're on, there is some sort of either planet leader or crime boss, and I believe the Prodigy ship is something he was supposed to get.
Oh, okay.
And these kids grabbed it first and escaped, and that he's chasing them.
Okay. So, as long as it's not Scooby-Doo, that's fine. I think it'll be fine.
I don't think it's going to be
Scooby's a big tribble. Roinks. They throw him snacks.
Yeah,
I agree with Langley about all the alien characters.
Yeah, I love that they're using all alien characters, especially those that are really difficult to do in live action. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I really feel that this show is going to show a different side of the universe, as it were.
No, and I'm okay with that. I mean, that's again, let's make the Star Trek universe bigger. Let's not just do Vulcan stories, Klingon stories,
and they're all cousins of each other. That'd be cool. They don't know each other.
That would be cool because that just
I know
what I was just saying, as opposed to I know you. And then you had to interrupt me to tell a lame joke. I think I have a job for you on Lower Decks.
No, he doesn't yell long enough or loud enough.
I don't like what's happening right now because I'm on Lower Decks. Anyway, we could be done.
Wait, was there any mention of a movie? Like a movie? Like a big nothing?
No mention of a movie. We got a Lower Decks trailer that kind of it didn't show anything resonating to me to even acknowledge a discussion about it, but just kind of a bunch of random scenes of the second half of the season. There wasn't a Discovery panel per se. They had a nice tribute to Roddenberry, given that it's his centennial year, with Rod, his son, and George Takei, and what's her face, Dr. Crusher, Gates McFadden, and LeVar Burton, and Will Wheaton, in terms of people that worked with Gene and knew Gene personally and stuff, and survive. Takei was the only original series guy there. Shatner not there. Well, poor Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah.
going through the same shit that Stan Lee was going through in his life years. Just heartbreaking. But I honestly, I liked the presentation of this better than the one we got last year. And in fairness, last year was during COVID, so there wasn't much they could do. But this was kind of cool. God, Jerry Ryan introduced the Picard trailer. Looked amazing. God bless her. And also Soji sang Blue Skies. That's how they closed the show. And I know, man, Mitch, that's why I sent you guys the picture of it. Like, enough with the goddamn Blue Skies. Jesus.
With the full orchestra, she sang it?
What's that?
With the full orchestra behind her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. No, and I'll even give her credit, but it is such a depressing version of the song. And I know that, ironically, the actual music, the melody of Blue Skies, is kind of a melancholy thing. But I'm just used to all the jazz guys, Blue Skies, smiling at me. You know, and they're having fun with it rather than never saw the sun. And it's like, God, nobody's dead. Well, I guess Picard's dead. So technically,
is that how she sang it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a funeral more.
That's how she's. You know, she sang it dramatically at the end of the first season of Picard. I know.
Right. I gotta
go. You can leave early.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By your leave. By your leave.
By your command.
By your command. That's Galactica. By your command.
Have a good one.
Take it easy, man.
Peace out.
What else can we say? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Langley also mentioning Jerry Ryan. Can't believe she's in her 50s. No, she looks amazing.
Hey, so are we. The fuck.
So, and this is interesting. Langley says about Prodigy, it feels like a better version of Voyager that uses Lost in Space plot in a more realistic way. They won't be wearing uniforms like day one. Like,
what actually did happen to the Maquis? I know that Chakotay and those guys were stuck on the Voyager, but what happened to the ones that were left behind? That Riker, remember Riker joined up and Ensign Rowe? Did they ever resolve that story? Like,
not their specific stories, but they did resolve the Maquis story. Yeah, they
what, DS9?
Yeah, in DS9, and in DS9, and then they relate what happened in Voyager when they start getting messages back from the Federation, and Chakotay and B'Elanna talk and say, "Oh my God, the Maquis is dissolved." Well, you know, the security officer on DS9 that became a Maquis, Eddington, Commander Eddington.
Oh yeah, the guy from Krull.
Yes,
the bad guy. Yeah,
yes.
I can't think of his name. He lost his hair. Yeah,
he's leading a big Maquis cell. And obviously, you know, Cisco double crosses him,
and Tom Riker got caught up in it and stuff too.
Yeah, they left that dangling. That he was taken into Federation custody, but as far as we know, he's still out there.
Did Ensign Rowe
as Langley says, they got wiped out by the Dominion.
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
And the Jem'Hadar. Which one was the Jem'Hadar? That was
that was the force of the Maquis, of the Dominion, rather.
Yes. Remember when they wiped out all the Federation ships? It was like, holy crap! I think that was the Jem'Hadar.
Well, and they also attacked Beta Z, and they attacked Earth.
Yeah, no, I remember there was a task force of the Klingon ships.
Wayne, you're gonna have to give me chapter and verse on Ro being killed. I don't think Ro was.
I never heard of that.
No. Her last episode in Next Generation, she goes off with the Maquis. I don't ever remember hearing that she was killed as far as canon goes. Cisco locked Eddington away. Absolutely.
Eddington, that's the guy. Yeah. I watched a video when I was looking for all your YouTube videos for the Star Trek Day. It was the top 10 most paused episodes or scenes in Star Trek history. And did you know that there's a scene where Gene Roddenberry's head is on a bird, and it was the Great Bird of the Galaxy as they're going through all the the data banks or something like that, and it's shown all these scenes that for one brief second there's Roddenberry's on an episode, his face. You saw that? Oh, you knew this?
Well, I've seen that video.
Oh, all right. I was going to say, I never saw that.
I am constantly scouring YouTube for good videos about Star Trek, and that's why, again, if you haven't seen, especially before Picard starts in February, Pop.
You said that one.
The Trial Never Ends. It's a 20-minute explanation of what could happen. Wayne says he believes that Ensign Rowe, after she left, she was killed while she was undercover. I don't think so.
Okay.
I
was going to tell you.
I don't think so.
There are so many shows about why Lower Decks sucks. I sent it to Franco. I couldn't believe it. It's not just us, but these people have thousands of views. And this one woman's like, "This show is the worst thing ever." And I'm like, "Oh, so we're amongst common folks here. We're not like lunatics out there."
Yeah,
it is really despised. I was trying to find one that said it was good. I'm not being a jerk. I typed in, "Is Lower Decks good?" and I couldn't find any search.
Well, there are positive Trek review shows that have absolutely
Lower Decks. Oh my god,
everything new. They've loved it. They're happy to tell you why. There was a one guy show that always was positive. And he'd say, "I really liked the episode. I didn't like this and this and this." It was kind of like a Kevin Smith review.
Yeah.
Where it's like, "Oh, I thought it was great, but here's 20 things I didn't like, but I really thought it was great." And it's like, you can't have it both ways. But
no, somebody asked me if you and me and Franco just do this for hate watch. I go, no, I really go in every week putting that show on, hoping this is a good, well-rounded. I don't think there's going to be one episode that suddenly makes me go, I was wrong, and all these have been great. But not one full 25-minute, well-written story with good jokes. None of that's happened. It gets maybe a little bit better once in a blue moon, but it just goes right back.
No, and again, a lot of people, as Langley just said, they love the reference stuff for some reason. They're very content with their entertainment to be very surface.
Yeah.
And what I've always loved about Trek, and Burnett and I got into this when we were talking last night, in that period between when it was syndication and then finally in 79 getting the new movie, there were so many novels, and not only the novels, but also those paperback collections of the Trek magazine, Best of Trek. And they would have these great essays that would really explore the McCoy-Spock relationship, or what do the Vulcans really represent, and things like that. And they just made you think beyond the hour-long episodes of what you were watching. And it just made it a much more richer experience.
I even have it better for you. I remember going to the grocery store as a kid, and there'd be the spinner racks, and there'd be paperback novels when paperbacks were the thing everywhere. Like newsstands, you'd have thousands of paperback books. But there would be subject matters, like, of course, unauthorized, Star Trek, what does it really mean? That type of thing. And you'd pick it up, and it'd be these very thought-provoking and well-written essays, like you said, about the whole future and, the Federation. And people liked it because it was a smart, I'm not going to say it was it was a well thought out 3 seasons, even with the goofy shit like the gangsters and the tribbles and the half naked women running around. Of course, there's that sensationalism TV nonsense, but at its core, it had great ideas. And that's why this show stands up more than a space, Lost in Space or Land of the Giants. There's a reason why Star Trek 55 years and people are still talking about it. There's a Star Trek Day and 5 different shows going on, because that's the thing that appeals to people around the world. And that's why we get so angry, because I had somebody say, you guys are just a bunch of old white guys. I go, no. We get mad when we see something we love so much not being what we perceive as being taken care of as well as it should be. And that's why I think we get all like vehemently, this is the worst thing ever, get off my lawn type of shit. That's my think. I don't hate Star Trek.
No,
I don't like what they're doing to it. That's all.
Right. Langley points out there's some positive Trek channels on YouTube that I enjoy, even though I disagree often. They give thoughtful reasons for why they enjoy it. Absolutely. Right. And again, none of us are saying don't enjoy it.
No.
We're not happy with what we get. But like you said, Mitch, we are optimistic every week that maybe I'll like this episode. And that's truly why it was a relief that I liked last week's Lower Decks. And I'm like, no, actually, this episode really worked for me on a lot of levels. And I don't mean to bring it up again to debate the episode, whether it was good or bad, but because, again, I respect the people that found it bad. But it's like, okay, I went into this each week with an open mind, and I'm like, oh, I like this. This was really good.
Even Discovery. I was so happy when they announced there was going to be a new Star Trek show, because I had enjoyed every other version of Star Trek, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise. Everything was great. Not always perfect, but I liked every single one, watched every episode, every season they were on. As soon as Discovery started, I tried, and then I watched it with you, and I still got problems with it. It's
Well,
my least favorite of all the Star Trek live action shows. I could just honestly say that if I had to rank them all, Discovery's on the bottom.
A lot of these top 10 lists are really not like, hey, we polled our readers, this is what they think. But there was a recent list of all the shows of all time, from original series to Lower Decks, and rank them in order. And the two at the bottom were Discovery and Picard.
Oh, Picard, really? I would have not thought so. I would have thought
then
that
Lower
would
Decks.
higher. Then Lower
Decks.
Yeah.
And then after that, it literally was. I don't remember which one was number one, whether it was original series or Next Generation, because younger people will say how much more they love Next Generation compared to the original series. And
you
I'm
know
okay
what?
with that.
I was going to say, over the years, I actually think Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek.
I am absolutely with you, and I've felt that way for a really long time.
Which I never would have thought growing up with Kirk and Spock. I'm like, oh, that's the original. That's the best. And then I just fell in love with DS9, even though they didn't even go to Strange New Worlds and seek out new civilizations.
Did. No, they
did,
I mean,
but not as much as every week like the
No,
Enterprise
and you're right.
did.
And that was one of the initial problems with the first couple seasons. But once they set up the whole Bajoran story, and once they figured themselves out, because luckily Ira Steven Behr was promoted as showrunner, and it's like, my show needs a ship.
Right.
Well, but you're on a starbase. My show needs a ship. Okay, fine, you get a ship. Avery would like to be a little more badass. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he'd like to shave his head again and grow his beard back. Okay, and they just kind of let instinctive.
They left it alone.
Yes, they did leave it alone. That is the main thing. They left it alone. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, the worst episode on the Deep Space Nine that I always think of is when they were doing the hopscotch, and he punched Q out in boxing gloves.
First season, both season episodes.
Yeah, those. Whenever I think of bad DS9, those pop right up. I go, God, that was so. Even Avery Brooks' delivery, he looked embarrassed to be in these scenes. Like, what am I doing playing hopscotch? It was just like. This is, but they didn't have their sea legs. They didn't know what they were doing yet.
Right.
So.
They make fun of that in the documentary in a very cute way.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
I saw the documentary.
During the end of it's during the credits where they cut back to them interviewing, and it's like, "Move Along Home" or whatever the hell it was called. And maybe we should talk about that one. That kind of thing. No, it's there you go. Yeah, it is "Move Along Home." Langley says. Yeah. Sorry, Langley. There you are.
No,
and then.
Imagine if they did give Will Wheaton a show where he is a professor at Starfleet Academy. Oh my God!
But I'd be okay with that. I mean, honestly, Starfleet Academy not only is it a great chance to obviously explore younger people, but it's a great reason to stunt cast and bring so many veterans back. So you've got Professor Paris and you've got Professor Torres in engineering. You've got, and it's so weird because. I forget maybe it was Wayne that I was talking to who said that he saw Cole Meany, O'Brien, say he never
really
start Star Trek again, because that was always the great like dangling storyline of Deep Space Nine was he was going back to Earth to teach at the Academy. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be great to have Professor O'Brien.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, and even as a midshipman rather than as a full officer, like a non-com, basically. It's like he really gets. And I love those moments in Deep Space Nine when he's dealing with younger officers and stuff. And it's like, hey, I've seen this a million times. Just stay with me because you need sergeants.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
do.
Essentially, what O'Brien was.
Off camera, was he not a big Star Trek fan? Because I never saw him do this.
I've never seen him say anything against the show.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I mean, he was. And obviously showed that he could make movies alongside Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh, I would see him in the Commitments and then The Rock. You would see him in real movies. And you go, hey, that's the guy from Deep Space Nine. And then it's like, what happened? And then, he's not doing the Comic Cons, I could tell you that.
Well, and need the money. Langley wants Will Wheaton on that Starfleet Academy show, not on the after show.
Yeah, okay.
And Doubt says unless that show has students to take Professor Wheaton out back and put a bullet in the back of his head.
That's
like,
mean.
Kelly, no thanks.
That's
that's
not kill him.
Hyperbolic. That's all right. He didn't like leaving his family in Europe like Stuart. Cole Meany. That's why.
Oh, okay.
And that makes sense. That makes sense.
All right. I did not know that. That's why Tom Baker doesn't come to the U.S. He doesn't travel. He doesn't fly. Doctor Who? People are like, "Oh, can you
Wow.
get Tom Baker?" I go, "No, he will not come to the U.S.
That
He will
sucks. That
Not
really
get on
does
an
suck.
airplane." You know,
Well, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I mean, and
we
again,
talked
yeah,
about, but we actually talked about putting him on a boat before COVID. You're not going to do it now, but they were like, maybe he'll come over on a boat. I'm like,
on a slow boat from China.
slow
Yes.
boat from UK, not going to happen anymore. I don't know.
Man,
It was
well,
a
I'm glad
nice
I got-
Star Trek day. What?
I'm glad I got to meet him when I did back when it was the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who.
You met him?
Came to Chicago. Yep.
Bullshit.
Oh,
Really?
no, it was amazing. That year, the 20th anniversary,
In the 80s? No shit.
we had all in the same year, Peter Davidson, Tom Baker, and John
Mhm.
Pertwee all came to Chicago.
Really?
And I got to meet all three of them and saw Peter Davidson a couple times because
Yeah.
he also, I can't remember which Chicago comic book store it was,
Hmm.
but he came to a comic store signing with his wife, Sandra Dickinson, who was Trillian in the original television version of Hitchhiker's
That's
Guide.
right. Yes.
And Peter is the cow, the dish of the day.
Yes, he is. They
Anyways,
came out. Oh, eat me.
And I
like-
had no idea. And I
know
brought,
that.
because I knew she was there as well, I brought a Doctor Who novel for him to sign and Hitchhikers for her to sign. And she's like, well, you're going to have Peter sign the Hitchhikers as well because, he was the
He's the dish of the day.
And I'm
Yes.
like, I didn't even recognize, and he's smiling and like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's me. And both of them could not have been sweeter. He was amazing. John Pertwee was fantastic.
You know what's
much like
even
when I met-
weirder?
What's that?
You know what's even weirder?
Well, when he finished my story, then you
no.
can tell me what's weird.
Go ahead.
Captain, I want to interrupt because I can't help it.
Because I forget shit.
shut up!
Go ahead.
So anyway, no, Pertwee, it was like when I met Avery Brooks in terms of like, or when I met Clayton Moore. It's like, oh my God, this is the Doctor. I mean, he was so commanding and so awesome that way. And Baker was incredible too and very funny. And after he did his presentation, we all got to line up and he would sign autographs for us.
Yeah.
And he came through the line. And I'm like, hey, we're all waiting for you. Why aren't you up front? And he's like, I'll be there in a moment. And he put his hand on my shoulder. And I'm like, okay, this is amazing. Now, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say the daughter of those two
What-
married
Peter Davidson. Yeah.
No, but his daughter, what's the doctor they
Or
all like?
pardon me. He married David Tennant. She married David Tennant. Yeah.
David Tennant. That's
Yes,
it. Yes,
that's right.
David Tennant's
Yeah.
wife is their daughter. Which
Well,
is weird.
I don't think they're still married. But they
Oh,
are
well,
in,
fuck that then. I guess.
and also fantastic stunt casting.
Mm.
She's in that David Tennant episode called The Doctor's Daughter, where they take the DNA of the Doctor and create.
Yes, you're
a
right.
female
They made,
clone.
yes,
And
they
she's
did.
like, "Hi, Dad," and it
Yeah.
it's his daughter. So that was awesome.
You know who I never saw again in movies? I always thought she was kind of cute. Was the one that played Tasha Yar's sister?
I'm sorry.
Tasha Yar's sister. Remember they had her on an episode once?
Oh yeah, Redemption.
Yeah, but that
Well-
actress, I never saw her again. I wonder what's up
Oh
with that.
God, she's like on a million. Like,
Oh, was she?
The 90s. Yeah. Oh yeah.
She had-
Look up her IMDb.
Yeah, the blonde. What's the haircut I'm thinking of?
I don't know, but it was like classic late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. All part
Yeah.
like the whatever, the mullet.
No, a million-
She had the blonde mullet thing going on.
Yeah, a million. Yeah, it is kind of a short mullet. A million Hawaiian Tropic calendar girls had that do.
That's
know what I mean?
true. That's true. Yeah, I'm thinking of the girl from that just died. Marky Post had that as well.
Oh, and I could be wrong. Doubt says that Georgia and David Tennant are were still together. They worked on.
No, we won't tell them then. That we said
I could be wrong.
They were divorced.
I thought that they had broken up, but whatever.
Oh,
Glad to hear that. And she's lovely. She's beautiful.
yes. That's it. There was one other Star Trek thing, but we don't play video games. I saw that was
Really?
the other news. It was the Trek Online, I believe it is. Is that the Star Trek role
The
playing?
MMO.
Yeah. When I was looking for all the news that came out of yesterday for Star Trek Day, that was another feature. But I'm like, yeah, we don't talk video games, so I didn't get into it. No. Don't you see all the commercials? Haven't you been looking at your phone? They've got all the cast members doing commercials for this new Star Trek Online game. I saw it with Data. I saw LaForge and
Yes.
all of them. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
they're spending money on this thing.
No,
So
trying to promote it.
Hey,
I
man.
did get the PC version of Star Trek Bridge Crew, which is the virtual reality game.
okay.
They have a PC version of the game as well, and I love it, but it's incredibly complicated, and I can't figure out. You could be the captain, you could be the helmsman, you could be weapons,
Yeah.
whatever. And unfortunately, I can't figure out. I should really go to the weapons station and just play around with that and get good at that. But it's amazing because it has the original series bridge and it has a next generation bridge. So, and really, like,
that's cool.
The consoles are different and everything. And it's a beautiful looking game. And eventually, when I pull myself out of my current financial hole, I do want to get Oculus, the VR stuff.
Yeah.
And I would absolutely get the VR version of Bridge Crew to play it because my friends have VR, have Oculus, and it is very impressive.
My buddy made Oculus. Did I ever tell you that?
I'm sorry?
My buddy helped create Oculus. He also created Guitar Hero. He used to work at Lucasfilm.
Cool.
Yep. And I'm 2 days older than him. And I go, where did I go wrong? He comes to the show. He has a private jet. He flies to Terrificon. He gets off. And then
promote for people who are into esports.
That's right. Next week.
Next weekend?
Next week, I will be at Mohegan Sun once again for Connecticut GamerCon. 2 days of video games, tabletop games, role-playing games on Saturday the 18th and Sunday the 19th. If you're in the Connecticut, New England area, stop by and say, I watch you on Trek Watch. Yeah.
I agree.
I will be there. And it's a big thing. It's like sports. Years ago, I never understood why people were watching other people play video games. And my 12-year-old son, Owen, looks and says, do you watch football? I go, yes. Are you playing football? No. Do you watch golf? Yes. Are you out there playing golf? No. So there's no difference between watching that and then watching somebody play a video game up there. I go, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I was like, wow.
I kick myself being a veteran of sports broadcasting that I didn't connect the dots and got in early to treat esports as sports, be like an ESPN kind of announcer for esport events. I feel I kind of missed my opportunity.
I'm with you. I missed the boat too. I was like, really? People want to watch people play video games? What's that about? They could go watch Lower Decks. My son is a wise saint. He is. He takes after his mother. Mitch will be hosting adult games at 10 o'clock.
All right, there you go.
All right, that's it. We'll watch Star Trek next week. And What If was good, too. It was about zombies. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I saw
we had a lot. Yeah.
It's in the trailer. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about with Star Trek. That's why I didn't.
Maybe Star Trek Zombies is coming next. Ooh.
They did that in the IDW books.
Oh, come on.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
Damn it.
So, we'll see how Lower Decks is next week. It was great to hear that Prodigy will start at the end of October, which seems to be probably like maybe a week or two after Lower Decks wraps up. And then Discovery in November and Picard in February. No date yet for Strange New Worlds.
That's the one I want to see.
Well, and again, I'm sure by the time I bet it's ready, I would imagine that everything will be ready to immediately follow the previous show by, if not 2 weeks, maybe a month.
There was one more Star Trek thing I had to tell you. If you're into Star Trek movies,
go ahead.
Quick question: will you be covering the Mirror? That's what I was gonna. That came out yesterday at the comic book store. It was a brand new IDW book. IDW called The Mirror Wars, which was all about the Mirror Universe War. But if you're a fan of the original movies, I don't know why they did this. They re-released the first 4 in 4K remastered, and I watched a review of it, and the guy was comparing them side by side. Honestly, I thought the versions that came out like in 2012 or 13 looked much better than this 4K version. The guy was like, look how dark this is. I go, it was too dark. You know what I mean?
That's interesting because
I thought you lost detail. I was like,
the 11-second clip that they showed during Star Trek Day started with the original version that was really dark, and then they really lightened up V'ger. And it looked pretty. I'll send you a link if you're curious.
Oh, okay. Maybe this guy was just shown. I was like, why would somebody want to watch that? Because they showed the Klingon battle cruiser, and you could barely make out the red glow on the actors' faces. And then they showed the one that came out years ago, which was a brighter scene, and you could see the bridge. I was like, I'd rather see that than just
Well, you saw a different scene then, because the scene they showed is like the Enterprise heading into V'ger.
Yeah.
And it looked good. And also, I know Darren Dockerman, who helped Robert Wise recut the director's version 20 years ago, is part of the 4K crew this time. So there are Star Trek fans that are actually
Okay.
making this.
But
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
My question is, why only the first 4 movies? That made no sense.
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, and
I don't know. Still don't know. I'm not sure. It's an expensive process, and maybe they stuck with the first 4 because those are the ones that made the most money and are the most commercial.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess.
Do you need a remastered Star Trek?
No, you don't need to. I was going to say that's actually a complete story. Those first, well, actually 2, 3, and 4 are, but 5 is nowhere, and then 6 is kind of like an afterthought. It's like, we'll go back one more time, and that's it. But
Wayne says he'll be watching the upgraded version of Dune this weekend. He hopes the Genesis scene from Khan, Genesis scene from Search for Spock looks good. Whatever, man.
I don't know. I'm just hoping they add. I like when they add old footage. I don't know if there's anything left anymore.
Yeah,
I think they've seen it all, shown it all.
No, I agree.
Anyway, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for doing your third podcast.
No, and then I got to get up at 5 a.m. to do the radio. It's crazy. It never stops. People want to talk.
I hear you, man. All right, everybody. All right. Thanks a lot for watching.
Bye.
Hold on. I got to get the theme song ready here.
Franco's in dreamland already.
Oh, there's no doubt. I know. All right. Stay safe. Stay happy. Stay healthy, everybody. Bye-bye.